Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today my topic for this particular video is function. So function in the Python is a basic course like the block of codes and group of multiple statements which we require to perform a specific task. So while developing a big software, we need to write the big codes like the number of lines codes, and then with the help of function, we can divide those big codes into the small chunks, and we can reuse those statements because we write the statement under the function, then we call those function where we require the codes like we require the specific task, then we call those particular functions, and this way we can reuse the codes and we can optimize the codes. So function is the more compact way in the Pythons, and this is similar to the any other language like the C++, C, Java, any language like the concept is same, only the syntax is different. And in the function, we can pass the parameter inside the function, and in the end, it return the result. So below are the types of function in the Python. First one is the built-in functions, then the user-defined function, then the lambda function. But in this particular video, I'm covering only on the built-in functions and then the user-defined functions because my focus for this video is on these two type of functions. For the lambda function, I will create the separate video and I will share the details regarding the lambda function in those videos in advanced programming. So here I'm start with the user-defined function first. So basically, user-defined function is the function which the developer create while creating any software as per the software requirements. Like we need to create a logic as per the product requirements. Then we create the functions with the block of codes. And here are the syntax to create a function. You can see here, first function header is start with the def keyword. So def is the keywords to define a function. Then space, then function name. You can see here the function name, and then after the function name we use the bracket, and in the bracket we can pass the parameters, number of parameter as per the requirement, and parameter basically the optional, and after the parameter we use the colons. So you can see here, this is the header section for any functions: def, then space, then function name, then parameter, then colons. This is the header. And in the body of the section, we have the code blocks. And in the Pythons, as I discussed during the naming convention video also, like we use the indentations to define the code inside any function. So here also I'm using the indentations. You can see here, there is the white space. And then first things in the function is the docstring. Docstring basically describe what this function is do, why we require this function, what's the functionality we implemented in this particular functions. And if you want to go through the details regarding the docstring, you can refer to the my Python naming convention video. On those video, I cover the docstring in details. And after the docstrings, we pass the code block like the multiple statement as per the logic. And after the statement, we define the returns. If our function is required to return a value, then return keyword and then value. And this one is also optional. So let me show you the code for the user defined function. So here I'm creating a function. This is the def keyword. You can see here in the header section, then space, then the name of the function. You can see here. And inside the bracket, you can see here, I'm passing the two parameter here, int1 and int2. These are the two parameter, then the colon. So you can see here, this is the header for any function. And in the starting, as I mentioned, this is the docstring. In the docstring, you can see here, I'm adding the summary here, then the parameter details, then the return value details. So this way we can create the docstrings. And regarding the detail related to the docstring, you can refer to my video relating to Python naming convention. And next is the logic. So here you can see here I'm using a code to perform the addition for two values. And here I'm returning the result in the end. You can see here I'm returning the addition value here. So if I execute this particular functions, you can see here nothing happened, no value is print, nothing happened, because function is run while we call the function. You can see here, once we call the function, then all the code is executed, all the variable is created into the memory. So here basically I'm calling the function. This is the function name. These are the two argument I'm passing here. This is the argument 1, argument 2. So these two argument 3 and 4, these two integer value I'm passing here. and it's returning the addition. So here I'm using a variable name to save the addition value, which is written by above function, and then I'm printing this value. And if I execute this one, you can see here this returning the 7 because it's performed the addition. 3 plus 4 is 7, so it's returning the same value. And below is the inbuilt method to access the doc strings, like the function, then dot, then double underscore, doc, then again double underscore. So this way we can access the doc string related to any function. You can see here, this is the doc strings. Same comment we mentioned into the doc string. Same things here written by this underscore doc method. And let me move to the argument. So argument, basically the parameter which we pass through the any functions. Those are the most important items, and we can pass the argument inside the brackets, as I explained during here in these functions also. So these are the arguments basically we want to pass, and we can pass any number of arguments. We just need to separate those arguments with the help of commas, as shown here. You can see here I'm separating the argument with the help of comma. So similar way we can pass the positional arguments and keyword arguments and the default value arguments. So there is the any number of arguments. And let me start with the basic example here. In these functions, like I'm creating a function, name of the function is greeting, and passing only one value here. You can see here one argument. And then in the print statement, you can see here in the print statement, I'm just printing the one string here, like the welcome to first optimal explainable AI training program, and then inserting those values like the argument passing here. I'm inserting those values with the help of dot format method into print statement. And if I call this function, you can see here is insert the Devvrat here. I'm passing the Devvrat as a argument. You can see here, and it insert the Devvrat inside this print statement. Welcome Devvrat to first optimal and explainable AI training program. So you can see here, this way we can use the arguments. And suppose we have the requirement to pass the multiple argument, then we just need to define the argument and separate those arguments with the help of comma. You can see here this way. And let me run this one also. And same way I'm pass during the run times while calling the functions. So here I'm calling these functions, above function, and I'm passing the true value here. You can see here Devvrat, then Rana. And you can see here it's welcome Devvrat, then Rana. Both the values inserted into the string to first optimal explainable AI training program. So this way we can pass the multiple arguments. And suppose we define the multiple arguments while creating the functions like the mandatory arguments, but on calling the functions we pass only one parameter values, or like the, for example, in case of required 3 parameters and we pass only the 2 parameter value, then it raises the type errors. And in above function you can see here we require 2 parameter values like the name and last name. Both things are required, but while calling this function, you can see here I'm calling this function with only one value Devvrat. And if I run this code, you can see here it's showing the type error, then the function name, greeting last name is the function name, then it's showing the error. Okay, missing one required positional argument. You can see here one required positional argument, name of the argument is last name is missing. So you can see here this is last name, this is missing. So this way we can use the functions, we can pass the positional argument into the functions. And suppose we require the like the pass number of argument and we don't know how many number of argument is going to pass during the run times, then we use the arbitrary arguments. So in case of arbitrary arguments, we just need to pass the argument with star, then the argument name inside our bracket, similar to the previous one. We just need to define the stars here. And then this way, basically function will receive the tuple as the argument. And we can access those arguments in a similar manner as I explained into the tuple data structure video, how we can access the tuple values, like the value from the 0 index, value from the 1 index, from the 2 index, 3 index. Similar way we can access the argument in case of arbitrary argument. You can see here the coding example. I'm creating a function here. Then you can see here I'm passing the star, then the argument name. You can see here argument star argument, and I'm accessing all the values with the help of index. You can see here first value because this pass the value as a tuple. So I'm accessing the first value from the tuple on the 0 index, then 1 index, then 2 index. And let me show you how we call this. So I'm calling above function, you can see here, and I'm passing the three values, Devvrat, Rana, Chauhan. So these all three values is passed as a tuples. And if I insert those into the string, as here, you can see here, tuple first value, second, third value, you can see here with the help of index, like the value on the 0 index, 1 index, 2 index, and the 0 index value inserted on the 0, then 1, then 2, you can see here this way by the format method. So you can see here, those values inserted into the string. Welcome, Devvrat Rana, Chauhan to first optimal explainable AI training program. So you can see here, this way we can use the arbitrary argument and we can pass any number of argument. You can see here in the second example, I'm passing the 4 values instead of 3. And it's just printing the 3 values because I'm using the 3 value here. And so you can see here, we can pass any number of values in the arbitrary argument. And next one is the keyword argument. We can pass the arguments with the key value syntax also. And so here are the example. In this particular example, I'm creating a function and I'm passing 3 values: first name, middle name, last name, and then inserting the first name and last name into our string. And string is same to the previous examples, like the welcome to first optimal explainable AI training program. So let me call this function here, like the greeting keywords argument, and then the passing value. This is the position. You can see here, this is the positional argument similar to the previous example, as I'm calling the above functions. In the above functions, this function and here also, this is the same way. Same way I'm passing the first name here. You can see here, this is the positional argument, and this is the keyword argument. You can see here, middle name, here is the key, and then value. This is the keyword argument. This is the key, this is the value. You can see here, middle name is the key, Rana is the value, last name is the key, Chauhan is the value. You can see here, this way we can pass the key and value into the Python. So this is the keyword argument, and it's printing welcome Devvrat, because I'm using the first name here. First name is positional argument, Devvrat is printing the Devvrat here. And second, I'm using the last name. So last name value is Chauhan. You can see here, welcome Devvrat Chauhan to first optimal explainable AI training program. So this way we can use the combined positional argument and also the keyword argument into the Pythons. And there is one things we need to take care while we are using the positional argument as keywords argument. First, we need to pass the positional argument, then we need to pass the keywords argument into the functions. You can see here, let me cover this into the second function here. Here I'm passing the first name, middle name, last name, and the rest of the things are same. But here I'm passing the first parameter is the keyword argument. Second is the positional argument. So you can see here, first I'm passing the keyword argument, then the positional argument. And if I run this particular function, it's showing us the syntax error. You can see here, syntax error, and you can see the error detail, positional argument, follow the keyword argument. So this is mandatory into the Python. First, we need to pass the positional argument. Then in the right side, we can pass the keywords argument. First, we need to pass the positional arguments. So please take care while you are using the combination of positional and keywords arguments. You need to take care of these things into the Python. Next is the default parameter. Suppose we call a function without any parameters, then we use the default values. So here are the example. I'm creating another function, and this is the key, this is the value. You can see here, I'm passing the default value while creating a functions. First name value is Dev, last name value is Rana. You can see here, first name default value is Dev, last name default value is Rana. You can see here, and here just I'm printing the values similar to the above part. But if I call this function without any value, you can see here, I'm not passing anything here. Our bracket is blank. So let me run this without any value, and it's printing the default value. You can see here, welcome Dev. This is the default value from the first name, and then I'm passing those first name here and inserting those into the print statement. It's printing the welcome Dev Rana to first optimal explainable AI training program. So you can see here, this way we can use the default values, and we can also pass the value on the runtime also. So you can see here, this is the function. Then I'm passing the keywords here, first name and new value. You can see here Ram, then last name, second keyword, and then the value Singh. You can see here, this way it's using the new values on the runtime. Welcome, Ram, then Singh. You can see here, it's now using the Ram and Singh instead of Dev and Rana, and the rest of the string is same. So this way we can pass the key value pairs on the runtime also. And so this is the way how we use the default parameters on the Pythons. And suppose we passing the keyword arguments, but we don't know the exact number of arguments on the runtime, similar to our arbitrary arguments. Here we are use the arbitrary keyword arguments, and here we just need to define the double star here, double star, then the keyword's name. So here the similar way, similar to our arbitrary arguments, here we can pass the any number of key value pairs. But here the things is changed. In those case, arbitrary argument, our function will receive the input as a tuples, like the pass the value as a tuples, number of argument, and then we can access those as similar to the tuple format, like the value from the first index, then for the like the 0 index, 1 index, 2 index. Here function receive as a dictionary. So we use the similar logic to the dictionary, as I explained into the dictionary video also. We can access the item with the help of keys as we do into the dictionary. So similar data structure. You can see here I'm creating a function, then I'm using the double star. You can see here double star, then the argument name, and I'm passing the number of argument here as a keywords. You can see here, and here I'm using the key. This is the key name, first name, last name. I'm accessing the value with the help of this key, and then inserting those values into the print statement in this particular function. So here I'm calling this function. You can see here, this is the function name, then the keyword value. You can see here first keyword is first name Devvrat, second keyword middle name Rana, third keyword last name Chauhan. So here you can see I run this function and it's returning the welcome Devvrat Chauhan and to first optimal explainable AI training program. So you can see here I am accessing those values with the help of keys, like the key first name. So it's returning the Devvrat for the first key, first name key. For the last name key, it's returned the Chauhan. So similar to the dictionary, it's working here. Further in Python, we can pass any data types. And here I'm passing the collection data type, but you can pass any data type, suppose the string, number, list, dictionary, or tuple, any items you can pass. And it will treat the same as the data type inside a function. It works similar way. So here are the example you can see here. I'm creating a function here. You can see here def keywords, then the function name, then I'm passing a collection data type is a list, and then I'm using the for loop to printing each item. You can see here I'm calling the above function and then passing a collection data type list. This is the list of integer 1 2 3 4. These are the list, and it's printing each item one by one. You can see here it's printing all items. And I can also pass the list which contain the string items. You can see here data, science, Python, analytics, and it's printing all things here. You can first print the data, then science, then Python, then analytics. So this way we can pass the list, we can pass the tuple, we can also pass the dictionary as per the requirement we can pass. Further, the next very important things is the scope of the variable and the lifetime of the variables. So scope of the variable is the like the portion of the program where we can access a particular variables, for example, inside the functions, outside the function, inside a class, outside a class. So those we call the scope of the function. And suppose we define a variable inside a function, then those function is only accessible inside particular function. In those situations we call the local scope. Okay, this variable has the local scope. And if we define a function at the global levels, then we can access those function into the inside of a function as well outside of a function. Then we call the global scope. Okay, this particular variable has the global scope. So the duration for which a variable is stored into the called the lifetime of the variables. So lifetime of a variable depend upon the function execution. While we call a function, then the function execution is start. And once the function execution is over and after the like the finish of the function's code, then function return the values. Once the function is over, then the variable is destroyed into the backend, into the memory. So those like the old times is called the lifetime of a variable. When the variable is created into the memory and destroyed into the memory, those are the lifetime of the variables. So let me show you the code here. So here in this particular code, first I'm creating a global variable. You can see here outside the function. Then I'm creating a function. This is the function name. And you can see here, I'm creating a local variable inside this function. You can see here, I intentionally created this local variable inside this function to show you the real-time example of the scope. And here I'm creating another variable, global variable 2. And with the help of global keyword, suppose we have the requirement to define a global variable inside a function, then we can use the global keywords similar to this. You can see here, this is the syntax to create the global keyword inside a function. And in the end, I'm printing the all three things, like the first global variable, which I defined outside the functions, second global variable, which I defined inside the function, and third is the local variable. You can see here, this is the local variable. I'm printing these all things. So you can see here, this is the function. And now I'm calling the function here. And once I call the function, it's printing the global variable. You can see here, while calling the function, like the global variable is accessible, and the second global variable which is created inside the functions, this one is also accessible. You can see here, this is also printing the second global variable, and it's also printing the local variable. So you can see here, this is the local variable and it's printing here while calling these particular functions. So this is working as per the expectation. Next is I'm accessing the global variable outside the functions. So this is the global variable which I create outside the function, and it's also accessible the outside the function. So as per the global scope, it's accessible. You can see here it's printing the global variable. Second, I'm trying the global variable second, which I create inside a function. You can see here, I'm creating the global variable second, and which is I create with the help of global keyword. And this one is also accessible outside the function. You can see here, it's printing the global variable. But now I'm trying the print local variable outside the function. And as this variable has the local scope, so it's raised the error. You can see here, name error, name local variable is not defined, because the scope of the local variable is only valid once the function is executed. And so once the function execution is done, then those variable is destroyed also, and we can't access those variable outside the function. So you can see here, the local variable is only accessible inside a functions. And once we try to access those variable outside the function, then it shows us the error. And next things is built-in function in the Python. So there are the number of functions. You can see here, these are the overall number of functions list. In this particular video, I will cover the important functions. Rest things you can try on your end also. First one is the absolute. So it return the absolute values. If we pass any numbers, it return the absolute values, like removing of the negative signs. And second thing is the all. It return the true if all the item is in the iterable object are true. First requirement for the all methods, we need to pass the iterable object, suppose the list. And if all the item are true, like the all the item are non-zero, then it's return the true. If any item is zero, then it's return the false. And next one is any. In case of any, if any item into the iterable similar to the list is true, for example, is non-zero, then it's return the true. If all the item is zero, then it's return the false. Let me show you the code. So let me start with the absolute first. You can see here in the absolute, we are passing the -10, and it's returning the absolute value 10. So this way absolute is work, and we generally use this into the data science and data analytics. And next one is the all. So as I mentioned, in the all, we pass the iterable object. Here we are passing the list, and you can see here all the elements are non-zero. So all the elements are true, and it's returned the true. And in the second example, you can see here we have the 5 element is non-zero, but we passing 1 0 here, so it return the false. So this way we can use the alls for checking the values are true or false. And in case of any, also we are passing the iterable object. And here basically, if we have the at least one object is non-zero or true, then it's returning the true. You can see here in the first case we have the 0 1 4 5 6, and it's returning the true. In second case we have the all values 0. So in Python is like the consider the all values 0 means all values are false, then it's returning the false. And next is the sum is very important in case of any calculation, any mathematical operation. We generally prefer the sum inbuilt function. It returning the summation of all values. You can see here It returning the summation here 10. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 10. It's returning the 10 here. Suppose we have the requirement to check the maximum value, we can use the max built-in function and it return the maximum value. You can see here it returning the 4. And in case of minimum value, we can use the min built-in function. You can see here min also. And next one is the map. Map is part of functional programming, and I will create a separate video also for the map, reduce, filter in details regarding the functional programming. But here I'm covering only the built-in function. So here I'm covering the introduction part for the map. Map basically used to apply the any function on a iterable. So here you can see here first I'm creating a iterable. This is the list. You can see here I'm creating a list 1 2 3 4. These are the items in the list, and this is the name of the list. Then I'm creating a function. You can see here this is the function name. This is the parameter. Then I'm returning the square of the value. I'm passing one value, then the square of value is returning. And here the requirement to apply this function to each item, like the 1 2 3 4, each item. I'm applying this function to each item. And we can use the map here. You can see here I'm using the map. Then first argument is the function. You can see here first I'm passing the function, then the iterable. This is the list. You can see here I'm passing the list. Now this function is apply on each item of this list and returning the final list. And here is returning 1 4 9 16. So these are the square value. So first it can apply this function on the 1, then it returning the 1, then apply same function on the 2, then it returning the 4, because 2 square is 4. Then for the 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16. So this ways work. So map basically is the alternative solution for the for loop, for the list comprehension. And in the data science, generally we prefer the map because it's a more compact way or more optimal way of the programming. And next one is the filter. Filter is very important, and this is also the part of functional programming. So here I'm creating another list. You can see here list, and then this is the function. In this function I'm applying the condition. So basically filter is work on the conditions, and if we have to filter out the items from the iterator based upon the condition, if condition is true, then it's returning the value based upon the condition, and it returns the another iterable. So here basically in this particular function I'm checking the even number. If number is even, then it's returning the values, and otherwise it's skip. So you can see here, this is the function and this is the list. Now each item of this list is passed through this function, and based upon the condition, final output is returned. So you can see here, now it's returning the 2 and 4 because condition is checking the even number. So you can see here, like the 2 is even and 4 is even. So it's returning the 2 and 4. So this way is filter is work. So that's all about the function into the Pythons. I have covered here how we create the function into the Python, how we use the function, how we pass the arbitrary arguments, positional arguments, keywords argument into the user defined functions, how we can use the built-in functions, how we can use the map, how we can use the filter. So I cover those things in this particular video, and further I will create the separate video to cover the like the lambda functions, and for the map, reduce, filters I will create a separate video. And thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe my channel, and thank you.